So good afternoon, October the 9th, 2014. This is CISG114, Section 1, Web Technology and Life. Let us get started in this day number 14 in week number 7. Good afternoon and welcome back. I understand that many of you would like to share today, so allow me to give you some time to do this sharing. Well, accidentally, I got some students who come to me for help. When you get into the team collaborations wiki, some of you got some difficulty. So in case you have the difficulty, please raise your hand and I can help you. All right? You have 4 responses. Let's see. Today we got, let's say, Mickey and Priscilla, as well as Ciel would like to share. So, Activate is Sita and Kaya. Okay, so let's get started with remembering this. So, allow me to say, may I ask you, how many of you have tried your team collaborations wiki? Have you succeeded in logging into your team collaborations wiki? Not yet. Okay, now make sure that, let me tell you this trick. Maybe, could any one of you would like to come here to try that, please? See out? Have you tried that? Okay, come, try it. Because everybody needs to know this. If you don't try it, and if you rush everything before the weekend, it will not be good. Now, try to log in with your account, please. I got many students in this morning's 2 classes who came to me and asked for help. And we solved the problem during the class. It's logged into this course, okay? This course, all right? Okay. Go to week number 6 or 7. Week number 6 or 7. There must be somewhere. Okay, 7 is good enough. We go to team collaboration. Team collaboration. Yeah. Now, don't do it first. Okay, you need to select team. All right. So select right here team. Team. Yeah. See. You got this problem? Have you tried that? Okay. Normally, most of you will have this problem. Okay. This is a trick. So what you need to do is go to the back button, right here. Yeah. The back button. And so you go back to the team collaboration right here. Yeah. All right. So now this time you select your name. It's good. Now this time click create page. Okay. Now you still can't get it. Okay. So you keep going back. All right? So you go back to this. All right? Now this time you select here. All right? You can't do anything, right? So let's try. Go back. Here. You see that? One more time. Team. You can't. Alright? So we're going back to, we just tried week number 7, okay? Ciel just tried week number 7. This is week number 7. Now we're going back to week number 6. speaking, is the same link, okay? Now look at that. When you go to week number 6, it's the Team Online Collaborations Wiki. This is CL's name. Now I click Edit. Under Edit, now you are allowed to add something, so type something in now. Type something in. Alright, it's the same thing. Okay, now pause. What you need to do now is you go to the pair from here. Okay? So you are brought in here and asked if you would like to create a page. So you say yes. You cannot edit it, okay? You see the trick? So you go back, try the team. You cannot edit it. Okay? Many of you from other classes experience this problem. So you go back to CL. You cannot edit it. What happened? I don't know. The system tells you something like this. So what we need to do is we have to be present. We solved the problem this morning. So now we go to week number 7. Okay. Principally speaking, it should be the same. You still cannot get it. What you need to do now, it's very simple. Log out. You can try that with your mobile devices. And I'm going to get in now. So I'm getting into the system. And then what I would like to do is to make sure they are the same link. So first of all, get myself some tools. Now I would like you to try using your mobile devices now to go to either week number 6 or number 7, get into the Team Wiki, and to see if you fail or you succeed to get into it. Because it's very important for you to do that. You spend some time doing it, okay? And it just takes about 5 minutes time, and you should be able to set it working. Okay. Now, I'm getting into this. So, I still got that particular something attacking myself. Okay. Now, so here number 7, here number 4. Okay. Okay, so 4 is not, right? So 4 pair number 6. 6, right? So pair number is 6. But anyway, I type something in here first. Okay. Okay, now I'm going to get 6. Yes, 6. how many of you fail or succeed to log in now? Please try. You cannot log in, right? Okay. What about the others? Okay. What about the others? Try using your devices. Okay. Here, you need to log into week number 6 or 7's team collaborations week. Okay. Joel, want to come here to try? Or using your computer? You try? You doing it? Cindy? Maybe succeed. Okay. Give me some time. Jackson. Oh, by the way. Okay. Biết cà phê kìa. Xin để đi hiểu xíu xíu. Because that is also a good experience for you to see. Okay. This morning I tried 5 students until we work out the solutions. You can see that Cindy is succeeded using her own wiki. Now you can edit something. Today's day by Cindy. Now you can see Cindy now succeeded using the pair. But the point here is it is not the personal or the pair wiki that we're interested in. So now choose the team. Okay, now you can see that Cindy succeeded logging into the team's wiki. Now type in something. All right. So let's get all right. Now, just now, Cindy logged into the system through week number 6 things. Now what happened? Now I would like Cindy to go to week number 7, okay, and log into the team wiki now. And here, yes, this is the team wiki. Now click the edit button, edit button. Now you can see that now Cindy actually can use the editor to edit, okay, in the team wiki. Now type in something. It's a sense of something like this. Okay. See these. Now see if you can do something similar. Okay. See. Now the members of Cindy's team is team number 3. If you're a member of this, try and log into the team wiki. Okay. Thank you. if you're a member of team number 3, you can try logging in. Now, anyone who still cannot log into your team wiki, want to come here to try? You need to do something similar. Okay? Can you follow? Can you do that now? Okay, good. Eric, you need to do something similar. Joel, can you do that now? Okay, thank you very much. I just want to make sure every one of you know how this trick. Because the system is using some open source software, and many of these you need to try and do it the way it's supposed to be. Now, principally speaking, they should not say you do not have the right to do this because I've already installed the right for you. Okay? All right. 你哋可能俾緊人哋未有添，你個 pair 嗰度嘅意思係咩 ？pair 會見人，但係天你嘅 can you do that? Can you track? Can you track? Because if you cannot log in to the team wiki, there's no way you can do anything with that. Okay? It's very important that you know this trick. Now remember, because the wiki allows all of you to work together almost at the same time. So sometimes when someone is editing something or saving something, the message might be someone is doing it now, you have to save it later. Okay? This is a very interesting tool for you to work together. Alright, now let me go in. Back to my system. It's a little bit tricky because the Moodle environment uses a lot of the third-party tools. And this is considered one of the third-party tools. And sometimes, even our ICTO people do not know what happened when you receive the first, you cannot enter this page message. So we try in here to solve the problem. Okay, here, let me do the attendance call first. Priscilla, thank you. Jackson, yes. Ken, yes, thank you. Jackie, Nadia, okay. Juan Yi, thank you. Xiao, yes. Eric is here, yes. Chevron, thank you. Martin, thank you. Winnie Chong, thank you. Jeff, thank you. Apple, thank you. Miranda, thank you. Don, thank you. Jeffrey, thank you. Mickey, thank you. Sita, and then Annabelle, thank you. Jordan, thank you. Joel, yes. Kisson, thank you. Lucas is not here today. Gaia, thank you. Jeff, okay. Sydney, yes. Tony, okay. Nico, thank you. Lucien, thank you. Sylvie, yes. Thank you very much. Anybody whose person whose name is not Nicole, okay. Now, in today's class, we have to cover, let us say, do some study on taxonomy and tagging. All right. So let's go back to week number 7. Week number 7. So let me give you some ideas on taxonomy. And actually, this is
is our ability to create information has far exceeded.
Thanks for joining our Web 2.0 class. This is your instructor, Teresa Peck. Today I would like to talk about folk songs. Oh, excuse me. I mean folk songs. A folksonomy, or folksonimies, comes from the word folk and taxonomy. It was coined by Thomas van der Waal around 2004. The definition of a folksonomy is it is the practice and method of collaboratively creating tags to annotate and categorize content. A taxonomy is a structured classification system. It is controlled by authorities and has rules, regulations, guidelines. A folksonomy, on the other hand, consists of freely chosen keywords. There are no restrictions, and the user can generate them. They can also be collaboratively generated. So a folksonomy is used to identify content with labels that are called tags. These tags are chosen by the user. They are used to define the content, to find the content later. They are available to the public, and they can be added by others in many instances. Why do we need a folksonomy? Well, from the very beginning of the internet, we use the web for finding information. The current methods that we have been using do have limitations. And since there is such a vast amount of information out there today, and since the information is now existing in different media formats, we need better ways of finding information, or may I say additional ways of finding information. So a folksonomy provides meaning or metadata to the content. It is also used to generate communication about the content. It is used in the sharing of knowledge concerning that content. And is also used to retrieve the information. It is used to search for it and to go back and find it again. Some sites that use folksonomy. Flickr is credited for being the first, although Delicious, which we will look at next week, I think technically was the first. YouTube uses folksonomies, Library Thing, and Amazon. Actually, as we get on in the course, you will see mostly all of the applications that we are using use folksonomies. Let's take a look at tags. A tag isn't the game you played as a child, and it isn't something you put on luggage, although that's close. A tag is a label, and it's used to associate some kind of meaning. We can use a tag on a photo, on video or audio, on a book, on a web page, or other resource. These tags are user-defined, informal, and available to the public. They can be seen by the public. Let's take an example of how we might tag this animated photo here. We could say it is a white dog. We could say it is an animated dog. We could say a bouncing ball is representative of this. A dog. Dog playing ball. And a red ball. And I'm sure you can think of many other types of phrases that would represent this picture that we see. So we use tags to associate meaning to some type of web content. So to review, the tags give meaning, associate information. They are used in searching for information, and they're easy to use and understand. A tag cloud is a visualization of the most popular or most frequently used tags. Here we see an example of a tag cloud that might be used on, say, a blog that had a lot of information about these different areas. These would all be different tags that collectively represent information, and obviously Web 2.0 would be the most popular tag, but we see that some stand out more than others. So we will take a look at Flickr next to understand how tags can be used in a...
Here we go. We're not doing
realistic setting.
And I appreciate that this lady has done very good work in helping me to understand taxonomy, okay, and tagging. Now remember, towards the end of your wiki, be it your personal wiki, Air Wiki, or Team Wiki, before you save anything, there's a box called Any Text You Want to Create. Okay, that is a very good way for you to tag on some very specific points of your research. Okay, now having said that, I would like to pass the time to the student today who would like to share first, and then after the sharing of the students, we'll come back to the second topic of today. So, Xiao, Vicky, and Priscilla, Kaya, and Sita. So, are you going to go first, Xiao? Okay. Please now speak up. The microphone does not seem to work these 2 days. Japan? Okay. Wow, roller coaster.
Did they throw you into the river? Okay.
Let's back to our topic. What is photo sharing? Of course, photo sharing is the publishing or transfer of a user's digital photos online, thus enabling the user to share them with others. This function is provided through both websites and applications that facilitate the upload and display of images. The term can also be loosely applied to the use of online photo galleries that are set up and managed by individual users, including photo blogs. Sharing means that other users can view but not necessarily download the photos. Users able to select different copyright options for their photos. Though in human language, just share your photos with others. But it's of course not just though. When you share your photos, you let others know your experience, what are you eating, what are you doing, what are you thinking, and of course where are you. But sometimes you should take some notice about you should protect your personal privacy. Share some and give away your privacy, and keep in mind that don't invade other people's privacy. And sometimes attack a few words if possible so that others may understand your experience more clearly.
Thank you very much. Thank you for sharing your photos with us. So the second one is Priscilla, and it's okay, take your time.
We're Mickey and Priscilla.
Thank you.
Now we're going to talk about what is RSS. And first of all, if you always read or use online, to understand the process of online information search, you visit a site, look for new information, and when it's available, you can read it. If there is no new information at this time, you can return later, perhaps the next day. But this is the hard way to get information online. Instead of searching for the information, you can take advantage of a technology called RSS to make the information come to you. Most blog and news sites offer an RSS feed of their content. This means that they publish the new content by pushing it out to subscribers through an RSS feed. With RSS, it is possible to distribute up-to-date web content from one website to thousands of other websites around the world. RSS allows fast browsing for news and updates. And the users of RSS subscribe to other access does not make use of your email address to send updates, but your privacy is kept safe on spam mails. And it is easy to unsubscribe. You are asked a question on why you no longer want to be subscribed to. Then you will be asked to confirm your actions. Now all you have to do is to delete the access group. In conclusion, the best thing about access groups is that you are always updated with the latest news and events, and which are being modified every day. Like the way consumers get their updates instead of being dumped with a lot of pointless updates. The consumers now can select and reject the updates that get sent to them.
Okay, thank you very much for your sharings on RSS. Make sure your PowerPoint is already there. And the last pair, it's Sita and sorry, I cannot see that, so but it's okay. It's Sita and Kaya. The topic, what is information privacy?
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Kaya, and she's my partner, Sita. Today we are going to present what is information privacy. Information privacy is also called data privacy or data protection. It is the relationship between collection and dissemination of data, technology, different expectation of privacy, and the legal and political issues surrounding them, and it usually relates to personal data stored on computer systems. The need to maintain information privacy is by people to collect personal information, for example, medical records, financial data, criminal records, political records, business-related information, or website data. Information privacy is considered an important aspect of information sharing. With the digital development, personal information vulnerabilities have increased. Information privacy may be applied in different ways, including encryption, authentication, and data masking. And these protections are geared toward preventing data mining and the unauthorized use of personal information. And next part.
Okay, I will introduce the information privacy. Internet privacy. Okay. Information privacy related to different data types, including internet privacy, vocational, medical privacy, and financial privacy. Okay, but first I introduce internet privacy. All personal data shared over the internet is subject to privacy issue. Most websites publish a privacy policy that details the website's intended use of collected online or offline collected data. The next is locational. As location tracking capability of mobile devices are increasing, problems related to user privacy arise. Location data is indeed among the most sensitive data currently being collected. The next one is medical privacy. All medical records are subject to stringent rules that adjust user access privileges. The last one is financial privacy. Financial information is particularly sensitive as it may easily used to commit online or offline fraud. That's all.
Thank you. You have given us very good information on the internet privacy as well as others. Okay, now let's get back to our class today. we are going to talk a little bit more about the metadata and show you some of the very interesting stuff. Okay, thank you very much. And the YouTube videos is already up. There are many classes, all right? Yeah. So let's do this. We have not done this in the last class. So first of all, we need to go to the metadata, and then we come back to the measurements, which is very important.
Hi, I'm Jared Hillen. Sometimes in the IT world, we have names for features and capabilities that seem to be tailored for a business user's confusion. One such word is metadata. Admittedly, when I first heard this word, I struggled to conjure up my rusty Greek prefixes. However, the concept of metadata is actually quite simple. Metadata is essentially information about data. Examples of metadata are all around us, especially in our digitally connected world. So let's give some examples of technical metadata and business metadata. Imagine our piece of data is a customer ID. Technical metadata around this customer ID might be what table does that ID reside in, or what kind of data type is it. However, the metadata businesses get excited about is business metadata. See, business metadata provides meaningful insight to the business about the data they're storing. Surprisingly, most data does not naturally present itself in ways that are meaningful to the business. This is because transaction systems use the data for their own internal workings and not to chat with the business. This is where business intelligence tools enter into the picture. The most powerful BI tools have sophisticated business metadata design utilities, which allow business definitions to be associated to the data. In turn, this empowers business people to both interact with and understand what the data is. Intrinsity specializes in the design of these systems, and we've enabled many organizations with greater insight into their business. I encourage you to go to Intrinity's website, talk with one of our specialists, so that we can help you transform your raw data into meaningful information.
Now think about your student ID, and think about the two types of metadata that's mentioned in this video, the technical metadata and the business metadata. When you look at your student ID, some of these start with D, representing from FST, some of these start with E, representing from where? Effective health science, some of these start with S, representing social science. Okay, the question is, how is it going to be stored in terms of the technical metadata? Is a string. Okay, so it's used to access your data in the system of the school, where we can use that as the key to look at your academic records, to look at how much money you still have in your purse, how many activities have you done, or in your residential college, the developmental portfolios of the 4 essential competencies. Okay, so metadata is the term we use to describe data about the database, or is the data about a specific kind of information. So let's move up here. It talks about the next generations of the web, which is introduced the father of today's internet. Okay?
Time flies. It's actually almost 20 years ago when I wanted to reframe the way we use information, the way we work together. I invented the World Wide Web. Now, 20 years on, Ted, I want to ask your help in a new reframing. So going back to 1989, I wrote a memo suggesting a global hypertext system. Nobody really did anything with it very much. But 18 months later, this is how innovation happens. 18 months later, my boss said I could do it on the side as a sort of a play project. Kicked the tires, the new computer we got, and so he gave me the time to code it up. So in basically roughed out what HTML should look like, hypertext protocol, HTTP, the idea of URLs, these names for things, which started with HTTP. I wrote the code and put it out there. Why did I do it? Well, it was basically frustration. I was frustrated. I was working as a software engineer in this huge, very exciting lab. Lots of people coming from all over the world. They brought all sorts of different computers with them. They had all sorts of different data formats, all sorts of kinds of documentation systems, so that in all that diversity, if I wanted to figure out how to build something out of a bit of this and a bit of this, everything I looked into, I had to connect to some new machine, I had to learn to run some new program, I would find the data, maybe the information I wanted in some new data format, and it was all incompatible. It was just very frustrating. The frustration was that there's all this unlocked potential. In fact, on all these disks, there were documents. So if you just imagine it all being part of some big virtual documentation system in the sky, then, or say on the internet, then life would be so much easier. Well, once you have an idea like that, it kind of gets under your skin, and even if people don't read your memo, actually he did. It was found after he died, his copy, it was found that he'd written vague but exciting in pencil on the corner. But in general, it was really difficult to explain what the web was like. It's difficult to explain to people now that it was difficult then. But then, okay, when TED started, there was no web. So things like click didn't have the same meaning. I could show somebody a piece of hypertext, a page which has got links, and we click on a link and bing, there'll be another hypertext page. Not impressive. No, we've seen that. We've got things on hypertext on CD-ROMs. What was difficult was to get them to imagine. So imagine that link could have gone to virtually any document you could imagine. That is the leap that was very difficult for people to make. Well, some people did. So yeah, it was difficult to explain, but there was a grassroots movement. That is what made it most fun. That was being the most exciting thing, not the technology, not what things people have done with it, but actually the community, the spirit of all these people getting together, sending emails. That's what it was like then. But you know what? It's funny, but right now it's kind of like that again. I asked everybody more or less to put their documents. Said, could you put your documents on this web thing? And you did. Thanks. It's been advanced, hasn't it? I mean, it's been quite interesting because we found out that the things that happened with the web really sort of blow us away. They're much more than we originally imagined when we put together the little initial website that we started off with. Now, I want you to put your data on the web. Turns out that there is still huge unlocked potential. There is still a huge frustration that people have because we haven't got data on the web as data. What do you mean data? What's the difference? Documents, data? Well, documents you read, okay. More or less you can read them, you can follow links from them, and that's it. Data, you can do all kinds of stuff with the computer. Who was here, or has otherwise seen Hans Rosling's talk? And Hans Rosling's was at TED, yeah, one of the great, yes, a lot of people have seen it because it was one of the great TED talks. Hans put up this presentation in which he showed, for various different countries in various different colors, he showed income level on one axis, and he showed infant mortality, and he showed this thing animated through time. So he taken this data and made a presentation which just shattered a lot of myths that people had about the economics in the developing world. He put up a slide a little bit like this. It had underground all the data. Okay, data is brown and boxy and boring, and that's how we think of it, isn't it, data? Because data you can't naturally use by itself. But in fact, data drives a huge amount of what happens in our lives. It happens because somebody takes that data and does something with it. In this case, Hans had put the data together. He found it from all kinds of United Nations websites and things. He put it together, combined it into something more interesting than the original pieces. And then he put it into this software, which I think his son developed originally, and produces this wonderful presentation. And Hans made a point of saying, it's really important to have a lot of data. And I was happy to see that at the party last night that he was still saying very forcibly, it's really important to have a lot of data. So I want us now to think about not just 2 pieces of data being connected or 6 like he did, but I want to think about a world where everybody has put data on the web, so virtually everything you can imagine is on the web. And I'm calling that linked data. The technology is linked data, and it's extremely simple. If you want to put something on the web, there are 3 rules. First thing is that those HTTP names, those things that start with HTTP:, we're using them not just for documents, now we're using them for things that documents are about. We're using them for people. We're using them for places. We're using them for your products. We're using them for events. All kinds of conceptual things, they have names now that start with HTTP. Second rule, if I take one of these HTTP names and I look it up, I go and do the web thing with it, and I fetch the data using the HTTP protocol from the web, I will get back some data in a standard format, which is kind of useful data that somebody might like to know about that thing, about that event, who's at the event, whatever it is, about that person, where they were born, things like that. So the second rule is I get important information back. Third rule is that when I get back that information, it's not just got somebody's height and weight and when they were born, it's got relationships. Data is relationships. It's interestingly, data is relationships. It's got this person was born in Berlin. Berlin is in Germany, and when it has relationships, whenever it expresses a relationship, then the other thing that it's related to is given one of those names that starts HTTP. So I can go ahead and look that thing up. So I look up a person. I can look up then the city where they were born, then I can look up the region it's in, and the town it's in, and the population with it, and so on. So I can browse this stuff. So that's it really. That is linked data. I wrote an article entitled Linked Data a couple of years ago, and soon after that, things started to happen. The idea of linked data is that we get lots and lots and lots of these boxes that hands had, and we get lots and lots and lots of things sprouting. It's not just a whole lot of other plants. It's not just a root supplying a plant, but for each of those plants, whatever it is, a presentation, an analysis, somebody's looking for patterns in the data, they get to look at all the data and they get connected together. And the really important thing about data is the more things you have to connect together, the more powerful it is. So, linked data. The meme went out there, and pretty soon Chris Bitzer at the Freie Universität in Berlin was one of the first people to put interesting things up. He noticed that Wikipedia, you know Wikipedia, the online encyclopedia with lots and lots of interesting documents in it? Well, in those documents, there are little squares, little boxes, and in those information boxes, there's data. So he wrote a program to take the data, extract it from Wikipedia, and put it into a blob of linked data on the web, which is called DBpedia. DBpedia is represented by the blue blob in the middle of this slide, and if you actually go and look up Berlin, you'll find that there are other blobs of data which also have stuff about Berlin, and they're linked together. So if you pull the data from DBpedia about Berlin, you'll end up pulling up these other things as well. And the exciting thing is it's starting to grow. This is just the grassroots stuff again, okay? Now let's think about data. Data comes, in fact, in lots and lots of different forms. Think of the diversity of the web. It's a really important thing that the web allows you to put all kinds of data up there. So it is with data. I could talk about all kinds of data. We could talk about government data. Enterprise data is really important. There's scientific data, there's personal data, there's weather data, there's data about events, there's data about talks, and there's news, and there's all kinds of stuff. I'm just going to mention a few of them so that you get the idea of the diversity of it, so that you also see how much unlocked potential. Let's start with government data. Barack Obama said in a speech that the American government data would be available on the internet in accessible formats. And I hope that they will put it up as linked data. That's important. Why is it important? Not just for transparency. Yeah, transparency of government is important, but that data, this is the data from all the government departments. Think about how much of that data is about how life is lived in America. It's actually useful. It's got value. I can use it in my company. I could use it as a kid to do my homework. So we're talking about making the world run better by making this data available. In fact, if you're responsible, if you know about some data in government department, often you find that these people, they're very tempted to keep it. To Hans calls it database hugging. You hug your database, you don't let it go until you've made a beautiful website for it. Well, I'd like to suggest that, well, before you, yes, make a beautiful website, who might say, don't make a beautiful website. Make a beautiful website, but first, give us the unadulterated data. We want the data. We want unadulterated data. Okay, we have to ask for raw data now. And I'm going to ask you to practice that, okay? Can you say roar? Roar. Can you say data? Can you say now? Right. Roar, data now. Roar. Practice that. It's important because you have no idea the number of excuses people come up with to hang on to their data and not give it to you, even though you've paid for it as a taxpayer. And it's not just America, it's all over the world, and it's not just governments, of course, it's enterprises as well. So I'm just going to mention a few other sorts of data. Here we are at TED, and all the time we are very conscious of the huge challenges which the human society has right now. Curing cancer, understanding the brain for Alzheimer's, understanding the economy to make it a little bit more stable, understanding how the world works. The people who are going to solve those are scientists. They have half-formed ideas in their head. They try to communicate those over the web, but a lot of the state of knowledge of the human race at the moment is on databases, often sitting in their computers and actually currently not shared. In fact, I'll just go into one area. If you're looking at Alzheimer's, for example, drug discovery, there is a whole lot of linked data which is just coming up. Scientists in that field realize this is a great way of getting out of those silos because they have their genomics data in one database and in one building, and they have their protein data in another. Now they are sticking it onto linked data, and now they can ask a sort of question that you probably wouldn't ask, I wouldn't ask, they would. What proteins are involved in signal transduction and also related to pyramidal neurons? Well, you take that mouthful and if you put it into Google, of course, there's no page on the web which has answered that question because nobody has asked that question before. You get 250,000 hits, no results you can use. You ask the linked data which they've now put together, 32 hits, each of which is a protein which has those properties, and you can look at the power of being able to ask those questions of a scientist. Questions which actually bridge across different disciplines. It's really a complete sea change. It's very, very important. Scientists are totally stymied at the moment. The power of the data that other scientists have collected is locked up, and we need to get it unlocked so we can tackle those huge problems. Now, if I go on like this, you'll think that all the data comes from huge institutions, and it's nothing to do with you. That's not true. In fact, data is about our lives. You log onto your social networking site, you pick your favorite one, you say, this is my friend, bing, relationship, data. You say, this photograph, oh, it's about, it depicts this person, bing, that's data. Data, data, data. Every time you do things in the social networking site is taking data and using it, repurposing it, and using it to make other people's lives more interesting on the site. But when you go to another linked data site, and you say, this is one about travel, and you say, I want to send this photo to all the people in that group who can't get over the walls. There's a columnist wrote an article about it, and lots of people have blogged about it. Tremendous frustration, way to break down the silos, to get interoperability between social networking sites. We need to do that with linked data. One last type of data I'll talk about, maybe it's most exciting. Came down here, I looked up on the OpenStreetMap. OpenStreetMap's an app, but it's also a wiki. Zoom in, and that square thing is a theatre which we're in right now, the Terrace Theatre. I didn't have a name on it, so I could go in any mode. I could select the theatre, I could add on down the bottom the name, and then I could save it back. And now if you go back to the openstreetmap.org and you find this place, you will find that the Terrace Theatre has got a name. I did that. Me. I did that. It's a map. I just did that. I put that up on there. Hey, you know what? It's all that the street map is all about everybody doing their bit, and this creates an incredible resource because everybody else does theirs, and that is what linked data is all about. It's about people doing their bit to produce a little bit, and it all connecting. That's how linked data works. But you do your bit, everybody else does theirs. You may not have lots of data which you have yourself to put on there, but you know to demand it, and we practice that. So linked data is huge. I've only told you a very small number of things. There are data in every aspect of our lives, every aspect of work and pleasure. Okay? And it's not just about the number of places where data comes, it's about connecting it together. And when you connect data together, you get power in a way that doesn't happen just with the web. With documents, you get this really huge power out of it. So we're at a stage now where we have to do this. The people who think it's a great idea, and all the people And I think a lot of people at TED who do things, because even though there's not immediate return on investment, you have, because it'll only really pay off when everybody else has done it, they'll do it because they're the sort of person who just does things, which would be good if everybody else did. Okay, so it's called linked data. I want you to make it. I want you to demand it. And I think it's an idea worth spreading. Thanks.
You have just heard the father of World Wide Web leads to talk about the context of the data. It's important that you have to understand that we live in a world where there are not data that is not being made available to us. And if those data are made best use of by people, a particular educator, or those in the research area, so much better. And have I mentioned to you one time that about 10 years ago, when SARS hit Hong Kong, that one of the means used by the government to detect and to defend the people from getting infected with the SARS virus is to use the supercomputer situated in the police headquarters and put in all the data from Hong Kong, Guangdong, and other areas, in particular Hong Kong, from the clinics, from the nursing center, the social unit, and they try to predict the trend, how the virus will spread. And these did a lot of good to help people in Hong Kong to stay aware of where to avoid getting infected. And here we go. Today we introduce you to the idea of taxonomy, tagging, and metadata, and then follow up with Tim Berners-Lee's introductions and platform on linked data. And if you are interested in knowing more about this, when you come back to the course website, you can see that we do have something more about this. It will tell you a little bit more about how this data is to be hooked up to become the semantic web of data. This is another very interesting talk by Tim Berners-Lee. So hopefully you can see a little bit more. And if you would like to see a little bit more on what is meant by linked open data, which we normally should be able to pick it up from the intellect, what is it and how we can use it. So these are very good. But today we have not come to this ontology yet. It's the study of that. But you can watch it and get some sense about this. So having said that, since this is the last week of the second earning contract, and you are supposed to finish the work before the end of this weekend, to submit your artifacts before the end of this Sunday. So the questionnaire is going to be up on Saturday. We'll be there for 4 days to make the best use of the questionnaire to reflect on your learning. Having said that, and if you still have questions on the second learning contract, I will stay here until 4 o'clock to help you answer them. If not, you're free to go. Okay? So, thank you very much. So that's it for today's CISG114 Section 1 Web Technology and Life on October the 9th, 2014. Until next Monday, stay in tune.